Hey, good morning, everybody. Sarasota Tim. You're noticing already, right? I don't know if I can get through it. I really don't. First, I'm going to make this very quick. This part, just the first part. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to every single dad out there, stepdad, past dad, living dads, all dads out there, even deadbeat dads. Get your act together. But happy Father's Day. Thanks for bringing your children into the world. And for all those that esteem their fathers so highly, that have literally grown up to look like them, be like them, talk like them, and do their same trade, they were a real impression on those boys and girls. A lot of the young men today, you meet them and they're like, well, my dad did this and his dad did this. So Father's Day is really important. The mothers, of course, are the nurturing part of the family group, and they get the flowers and the dinner, and it's more of a celebration, it seems like, on Mother's Day than Father's Day. We get the tie, maybe a dinner, but if it wasn't for fathers, you wouldn't be living in that big fine home, or and that's not true with every situation, but you wouldn't be living in that big fine home or driving that nice car or have those shiny braces that you got and all the other things that were provided to you as you grew up, that the father got out there by the sweat of his brow and went to his prison job and made those paychecks to bring all he could to give you in your life. So fathers, my hat's off to you. Happy Father's Day. God bless you all. And thank you for the mothers too for what you do. And now I want to do a Jesus Crushing It for Christ video. It's going to be short. I know a lot of you say the audio is more important than the video, and so I've got my mic on, but what good's it doing when I can't talk? I feel I could run a mile. I could go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. I could play golf. I feel fine. What is going on? Why am I don't know. Pray for me. I know I'm praying. But I had to talk about it today, folks. I had to do Jesus Calling devotional and read to you Crushing It for Christ, because there's something in here that relates to what I talked about the other day. And I want to read it to you right now while I still have a voice. All right, you ready? Today's the 16th of June. And it says that stay on the high road with me. Many voices clamor for your attention, trying to divert you to another path. Now, do you have that going on? That happens to me all the time. You hear a lot of voices, you get a lot of opinions, you get a lot of suggestions, and but this goes on to say something really good here. But I have called you to walk ever so closely with me. So don't leave the path of walking with God, soaking in my presence, living in my peace. This is my unique design for you, planned before the world began. So before the world began, he had a plan for you. He knew you before you were born. We talked about it the other day. He saw you in your mother's womb. And then it says, I have called each of my children to a different path, distinctly designed for that one. So I have my path, you've got your path, and this is what it says. Listen to this. Do not let anyone convince you that his path is the only right way. And be careful not to extol your path as superior to others' way. What I require of you is to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with me wherever I lead. Now, a lot of that we read can be directed right at me because of what I do on YouTube and trying to influence or direct people's paths. Now, what I try to say and do, of course, is what I'm doing, and you do you. But that doesn't mean that you can't, if somebody says Disney World's a great place and you don't go there because they went, that'd be foolish. You get information. But there are certain things that this is talking about that's deeper than, Should you get an RV and go retire and travel around the country? Whatever path that God's got for you, you'll have to just listen to his presence. Let's read it again. It's very important. I just read it this morning. I thought, I have to share that even though I can't talk. Stay on the high road with me. Many voices clamor for your attention, trying to divert you to another path. Now, you can just take that any way you want, in any level of seriousness. They're clamoring for your attention, trying to divert you to another path. Okay? I have a path that I am trying to follow, and I want to stay on a path with God. And it seems to be the path that's been put in front of me, and I'm really trying to follow it. And then through my YouTube, I'm trying to share my enthusiasm about it and share information, places you can go and eat and do and see, and show you prices of homes and whatever else I can think of. And I'm just providing information. And it's a path that I'm enjoying. And I'm getting ready to reunite in a collaboration. And that path, it talks about but I've called you to walk ever so closely with me, soaking up my presence, living in my peace. This is my unique design for you, planned before the world began. It says many voices clamoring for your attention, trying to divert you to another path. Now, the same thing can be said towards me. I'm not saying that someone's trying to divert my path. Maybe I'm trying to divert someone else's path. I've spoke about Miss T. She has family. She has grandchildren. And while I want to go out and do and explore, I don't want to, and she may think, or voices are clamoring for her, change her path. But so the two minds, or your mind, when people are trying to clamor for your attention to change your path, you have to listen to God. That's the simplest thing you can do. You can't let them sell you. You can't sell them. You have to decide if you love them and you would like to share half the path, two paths, widen the path. I don't know. But it has to be worked out, and it can be, But in an extreme situation where someone voices are trying to divert you, let's say, now let's talk about this. I talked about my personal life. Now let's say someone wants to divert you by evil. They're saying, hey, don't go down the path of going to that church. Don't go down the path of listening to this person on YouTube. Or don't go down the path of being with that person or getting that job or buying that brand of car or making a purchase on real estate. Nobody, it's an old saying, nobody wants to see you doing any better than them. Not everybody's so happy for people when they're going to succeed in something. And I can tell you that's a fact. That's a fact. There are so many people that just can't stand you are doing good, or you're happy, or you're following a good path, or you're worshiping God, and you are happy, and you're keeping yourself healthy, and you like people. And people some people don't want to do that. They want to divert your path. They want to block your path. They want to throw grenades into your path. So take this message with a grain of salt. It's not about my personal life that I just shared with you, with Miss T and I. That's a small thing. We just got to work it out. But if you're trying to follow a path that's good for you, you want to start working out at a gym, and someone's diverting you, telling you don't need to go there, or you want to start attending church, or you want to start listening and reading your Bible, and someone's telling you, why are you doing that? That's hocus pocus, or, you don't need that. And, you start listening to those voices, so let's read on. Let's read on what it says. So, you see what I'm saying? This is a broad statement about people clamoring and voices trying to divert you from your path. What is your path? In your own mind, you're out there, you're following a path, you got a direction that you're going. Don't be diverted. Only if you know that the path that you're on is a path to hell, is a path to problems, is no good, then, God's going to change your path. He's going to put a roadblock up. He's going to throw a hand grenade in there. Believe me, he will. Because if you worship him and search him first in your life and every morning, and you seek his face, and you talk to him daily, you may not hear. You got to listen really close for the nudges and the umptions in your heart. You know in your heart that should you do this or should you do that? Is that right? Is that wrong? You know. And be man enough, be woman enough to apologize or to change your path and apologize to God and ask for forgiveness. Because he will. He absolutely will. If you went and told your mother and father that you won't do that again, and you want your allowance back or you want your privileges back, and they saw that you meant it sincerely, you would get it back. You'd be back on path. You'd be right on the path you need to be. So when this says don't let people divert you from your path, sometimes maybe you need to be diverted a little bit. But trust in God for all that. The next paragraph says, I have called each of my children to a different path, distinctly designed for that one. Distinctly designed for you. I have called each of my children. We're his children. And he's given you a path distinctly designed. Not, here's your path. Good luck with it. Follow this one. You're on the green path. You're on the brown path. You're on path A. It's distinctly designed. Isn't that great? Do not let anyone convince you that his path is the only right path. Yes, so that's what we were talking about a moment ago. Don't let anybody influence you that, their path is right. Maybe they're evil. Maybe they're like, hey, whenever you start going down the river with everybody else, you're fine. It's the people that start swimming upriver that are doing something different is when people are like, hey, what are you doing? We're all going downriver. Go with us, the easy path. Don't go upriver. Don't try to change anything. Don't try to do good. Yeah, so right there it says, do not let anyone convince you that his path is the only right way. That does not mean that when I say collect your Social Security at 62, and that's the only right thing to do, that's what that means. That does not mean that. Because I clearly state that there's only one reason, and one reason only, that you shouldn't collect your Social Security at 62. And that's if you're making so much money and you love your prison job. Otherwise, get your check. Because I want to tell you something real quick off the path about, off this crushing it for Christ. Since I made those videos on Social Security about collecting at 62, every day when I meet people, I bring that up, especially if I, see they're my age. Do you know I can count on probably 3 fingers, and I talk to a lot of people that I've ever met that told me that they did not and would not, and it was a dumb idea to get their Social Security at 62. Contrary, what they say is I did before I can finish my statement. It's almost like right out of everybody's mouth. Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, you gotta be 78 or 80 years old for it to ever, get any more money. I mean, every single one, with the exception of a few. And they weren't rude about it, and they weren't like, oh no, that's a dumb thing. They were just like, no, I was making a lot of money or whatever. You know, they had the reason. I didn't, you know, try to argue with them. Like, you made a mistake, you know. But, you know, I didn't want to talk to them about, well, you let your life go by, though. You kept working. You didn't enjoy freedom. You do you. But I'm just saying, when it comes to that retirement thing at 62, everybody I ever meet absolutely gets their check at 62. I don't know why I read sometimes or ever thought, and they try to change my path in my mind about not talking about it because it was bad advice. Heck, somebody needed to tell me and straighten me out if I didn't think that way because, like I say, I've never met anybody, with the exception of 2 or 3, that ever said they waited past 62 years old. All right, going on. I've called each of my children to a different path, distinctly designed for that one. Do not let anyone convince you that his path is the only right way. I know we've read that 3 times, but listen to what it says now. And be careful not to extol your path as superior to others' way or their path, because he said he gave each of us a distinctive path. Folks, this is not anything to do with good financial decisions or living your life. This has got to do with a path of how you're living. This is a religious talk. And he's referring to, you know, when people try to tell you, don't go down the religious path, don't go down the believer's path. Oh, don't you know that those guys on TV and YouTube are all fakes and phonies, just want your money? That there is no God, and follow our path. All you got to do is this. You know, believe in science. Here, let me show you some science. Let me get my chemical science tube out and show you. When all you got to do is look right there and you can see there's a God. Look all around you. Look at the birds of the air. Just open your eyeballs. All right. Don't get me started. You're never going to convince me there's no God. And I don't understand how, I do understand, when people grow up and their path is set before them by their parents, and the parents are non-believers, instead of giving those children their own choice in life, let them see, figure out, hear from different people and different things and things they can read and all that, and let God, you know. But when you dogmatically raise a child that there's no such thing as God, I mean, I'll bite my tongue on what I want to say about that, but I'll just tell you, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair to tell anyone from the time they're born that they can't be with somebody that's maybe even a different culture. I don't believe that somebody should say you shouldn't drive a Toyota because it's made in Japan. I don't believe that these people that want to say these things don't do business, don't go to Planet Fitness because of some probably made up thing they did for advertising. I'm there for a gym. I don't care about their politics or what scam they put together to create more publicity. I don't fall for that. So don't let anybody change your path. And don't you try to change others' path. That your path, you extol your path is the only path. And I know there's a fine line there where it sounds like I'm extolling my path right now. Well, I know that this path is correct. And you say, how do you know? Well, I know because of my own life experiences. No one's given me anything. I have everything I have from hard work and from blessings from God. Pure blessings have helped more than anything, more than even the hard work. I mean, just doors have been opened, connections have been made because I seeked Him first, because He's very important to me in my life. And He does that for all of His children because He loves His children. And that's really the simple story of it. And then, He goes on to say in the last part of this is, I'll read that one part again for the 5th time. Do not let anyone convince you that his path is the only right way, and be careful not to extol your path as superior to another's way. What I require of you is to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with me wherever I lead. That's what he requires. Let me read that last time. To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with him wherever he leads. So wherever he's leading you in your path, it's not a straight path. Paths they meander all around. There's some dog legs in them. Wherever he leads you. And how do you know where he's leading you? You got to talk to him. You got to listen. You got to have a relationship with God, folks. If you want health in your life, and you want happiness, and you want a long life, and you want all the things that you think you want, but he'll give you even better, and may not give you the Lexus, but give you the Corolla that you'll actually like better, but he gives you a new car, just trust in God to give you what you can take. You got to walk with him. That's the path. That's your path. And each of us have a path that he's given us. You don't have to find it. He says, you act justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly with me wherever I lead, and to listen to him, to know him, to talk to him, and to seek. Ask him for direction. You come to a crossroads, he'll let you know. He'll let you know. All right, now, we're going to finish this up. There's 3 verses that the author of this book derived to that devotional. This is God's word right here we're going to read now. This is the book of John, the 14th chapter, verse 27. It is also written in the New King James Version. I like reading the New King James Version of all the, there's the NIV, the New International Version, there's the ESV, the English Standard Version. There's all these different versions, and they're good. Choose you one. But the New King James Version, the NKJV, it's a really a good one. You can choose these on the app of your phone. That's why I've been reading my Bible on my phone for years now, because I can have multiple Bibles. But I want to get a book, a tangible Bible with large font. I'm looking for that now. It says in John 14:27, the Gospel of John, you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the first 4 Gospels of the New Testament. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Now when God tells you, let's say you really were able to hear him, not even see him, but he was talking right into your ear, and you could hear him say this to you. Let me do it one more time. It's a one more time day, and I got no voice. It's a 3 more time day. Peace I leave with you. He's talking in your ear. Listen to me. Peace I leave with you. I'm not getting any peace with that truck going by, but he'll be gone. He doesn't even have a trailer. He's bobtailing. Okay. God's in your ear. He's whispering. He's got a message for you. It's him. It's him. And he grabs you and he pulls you over and he puts his lips up to your ear and he says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Now, if you had God tell you that, you'd walk around the rest of that day anyway with your head high, wouldn't you? Why don't you just remember that? Why don't you just wake up every day and read that? John 14:27. All right, the next one is from Ephesians 2:10, chapter 2, verse 10, in the King James Version. For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. So you are to do good works. You are to buy somebody a coffee at McDonald's. You are to mow someone's grass. You are to smile at people. You are to say thank you and to look at people in the eye. You are to give them a call every now and then instead of a text. You are to say I love you. You are to tell them that you appreciate them. You are to be like Jesus. Does he just walk by and, hey, how you doing? Have a good one. If he walked by you, when he did walk the earth, is that what he did to people? He healed. He laid on hands. He gave messages. He encouraged. He stimulated people's minds. He taught the right way. He astounded people. People were left in awe after meeting this man. So, it says right there, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Created in Christ Jesus to do good works. We are God's workmanship. We are created in his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. You are to do good works. You are to work at a prison job. You are to raise your children. You are to correct your children. You are to marry. You are to, well, you're not necessarily to marry. I think Paul said if you were like me, to save you that anguish, because there's a lot of trial in marriages. I've been through a couple. But rather than burn in lust, take you one. Anyway, the last one is in Micah, the Old Testament. Micah chapter 6, verse 8. And he has showed you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. You know, I got a feeling that these Mormon people here, and I know that everybody I meet isn't a Mormon. I've seen some Mormons that are like the full-pledged Mormons. They're walking around. They have this certain outfit that they wear to, try to adhere to their full belief. But the just general attitude of people here follow this. They this verse right here in Micah says, he has showed you, O man, in his book. He showed you. He told you what is good. He has showed you, O man, what is good. This is the Bible. He showed you. You can read it on your app. You know what's right. He's the one that's true. You can't doubt anything he tells you. So if he showed it to you, and what does Lord require of you? ? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Not as a proud person, not as someone that tells people my path. Listen to me, I know everything. Be dogmatic. Teach your children the wrong things. Start looking at things, and your children are looking at you. They're watching you. That must be okay. My parents did it. They're listening to how you talk. This is not that instruction that he gives there. You are to be humble. You are to walk humbly. You know why? It says the humble will be exalted. If you go to a dinner, the Bible talks about, and you sit at the head of the table because you think you're the most rich person there, or you're the boss, and you take the head seat. God tells the story in the Bible like someone's going to come along and say, hey, that's reserved for somebody else. You move down. But if you go in and you humble yourself and you sit on the floor or over on the side or at the end of the table, someone might come up to you and say, hey, move up. Move up. We want you up here. We'd like to bring you up here. We'd like to put you in the front row. This is what happens when you act like Jesus, when you act humble and you are kind and you share. God is seeing how you're living. I don't need anyone, any of you, anyone I know, to do anything for me. You're going to be influenced to maybe do something for me, as I do for you and others, from him, because he sees it all. And when you do those things out of integrity, when no one's watching, and you're driving the speed limit and you're being honest, you see something on the ground that shouldn't be there and you pick it up and put it away, and you do these acts, you think they go unnoticed? Nothing goes unnoticed. You want to sow good seed? You want to build up your blessings to where you can't even handle them all? Then start doing and acting more humble and being more merciful and acting more loving. I mean, I can't tell you how many cups of coffee I've bought in South Florida where you go, hey, here you go. The way I got served my coffee at Dutch Bros yesterday by 2 different individuals and asking me all these options that I have, instead of me just saying, and they're like, okay, thanks. Yeah, here's how much it is. Next, let me go back over here now. They went beyond, and you know why? God told them that I was getting ready to walk up there. And God was going to give me a blessing to keep seeing the humble, sweet, nice, polite people that are right here in Utah. And they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're in Florida too. Not saying they're not. There's wonderful people there. But there's a lot more people, so you happen to see more of the other stuff. Same way would be in Chicago, New York, or LA. I'm probably going to find a lot of that in San Diego. I don't know. But I'm going to be looking, and God's going to direct my path to where I'm only going to be around good people, positive people. And if you're not, you're eschewed. That's what I do with all negativity. I don't give it the time of day. I peeked at it a couple of times. It's the same thing. It's like looking at a soap opera on TV. 6 months later, you turn it on, hey, they're still saying the same thing. It's the same storyline. And it doesn't change. But what does change is good life, a godly life, a humble life, a loving life. Just blessings just keep coming to you. You can't believe. I mean, you should feel this weather I'm standing in right here. I'm no longer sitting on the surface of the sun in Laughlin. I am in Utah. I am in a wonderful RV place. I got a great, great deal from Miss Tally there. And I'm playing golf. I've met so many people that I've literally couldn't sit here and remember all the names right now, on the spot. But here, and the ones that I haven't even met yet that I'm about to meet next week, that I would have never have known had my path not been directed by God, and their path, crossing our paths. How about that one? Yeah, your path will cross paths of other godly people following their own path. So we get to share with one another. It's such a great life, folks, to crush it for Christ every single day, to be humble, to move yourself down and wait to be exalted up. And if you're not, that's okay. To wash feet. That's what Christ did. Remember that story? He washed feet, and he got to the one disciple, and the disciple said, no, don't wash my feet. God forbid you wash my feet. You're Jesus. He says, unless you let me wash your feet, you will not inherit all these good things that I have for you. He goes, well then, don't stop at my feet. Start with my head. Wash my whole body. And it's these parables, these analogies are so profound, and they make so much sense. They click. I think God does have to open your mind and your ears and your eyes to hear and see and to think the way he wants you to. Some people their hearts are so hardened with hate and living a different path. They don't want to get off that path. They don't want to put down those drugs. They don't want to stop thinking the way they do. They don't want to believe in God. They don't want to be humble. They don't want to sit at the end of the table. They'll knock you out of the way to get to the end of the table. They'll cut in line. They'll cut in traffic. Those people have lost their way. They're on the wrong path. So find your path today. Ask God if you're on your right path. If you've deviated from it, he'll get you back on path. You know, think of a cruise ship. That's why they have GPS and compass. They don't want to run into somebody else. And if they don't keep it right on target, by the next time, 24 hours later, they're way over here. So you have to stay on your path minute by minute, day by day. You can't once a week go to church, you know, and that's the only time you entertain God. You got to talk to God all day, every day. You got to keep on that path. There are so many people out there pulling you and convincing you and giving and listening to stuff on YouTube and media and Facebook. It's horrible out there, folks. Don't let them deviate you from the path that you know is the path to riches, to health, to glory, to crushing it.